Hello and welcome to episode 258 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is September 8th, and together with Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP at Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So from time to time, we mention that Microsoft is a huge SAP customer. Not only since a few months, but since tens of years. So in a lot of cases, our situation reflects the same situation as a lot of our customers are in. Roughly 3 years ago, we had Frederick Huet from our internal SAP team talking about Microsoft running SAP. 3 years is a pretty long time in the age of cloud and AI, so I'm really happy to have Fred back with us to share the latest on SAP at Microsoft. Welcome, Fred. It's really great to have you here. So before we go into the details and you tell us a little more about what you have been up to in the last few months and years, and actually also the last weekends, maybe you can share a little what you do at Microsoft. What is it that you do at Microsoft?
Sure. Thanks, Holger. Thanks, Goran. Always nice to be back here. So as you mentioned, my name is Frederick Huet. I'm the SAP architect. I'm one of the SAP architects. I lead the SAP architecture team for Microsoft internal IT and internal SAP system. I've been doing this for just over 8 years at Microsoft. I've been doing that for just under 35 years in the SAP world, starting in all the way before R3 existed in the mainframe days. Yeah, what I do is for the last 8 years, it's been everything from helping our team finish moving to the cloud, and Azure, and ever since we've been simplifying our landscape, optimizing it, moving to S4, moving to new technique, moving to RISE. All of those things are part of the thing that my team drives. Now, when I say my team drives, it's a small team. It's a much larger team that does SAP at Microsoft. So, it takes a village. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to look good in your podcast, because I got a great team of people that do a lot of great job behind me. So,
well, you and your team, you're doing some amazing work. And as said, SAP at Microsoft is a huge thing. It's not like something that was introduced last month or something like that, and we have SAP running for some strange things. But this is really in the core of the business that we are doing, right? And it's always amazing to talk to you and get your insights, because I think that is also something that I really like about Microsoft and Microsoft Digital, or whatever the team now is called, that you share a lot of best practices or lessons learned with customers. Like, how are you doing things? What is working well? What is not so working well? That's also something there. There's some really great blog posts out there that outline where Microsoft decided to go this way and not the other way, because we learned that way A is better than way B or something like that. So it's always great to talk to you.
Absolutely. Microsoft has been like an SAP partner since 1993 is when we signed our partnership. So it's literally 32 and a half years. I think April 30th, 1993 is when for people that remember those names, Bill and Asso, and I'm not going to have to put the last name, sign an agreement, and it's been very a very deep collaboration between the two companies ever since. SAP is well known to run on Azure a significant amount of their business, and SAP and Microsoft is running a significant part of its business on SAP. So we have that very symbiotic relationship, not just into the market, but actually, we put our money where our mouth is, and we depend on each other's software in many ways. If you look at Microsoft, every penny of the revenue we made last year is entirely in the ledger in SAP at the end of the day. So, we run a lot of other things. Obviously, we have a ton of dynamics, especially in the front end, in the CRM, and a lot of other area. But at the very, very core, you find a lot of SAP in. And if you allow me, I'm just going to start sharing my screen and jump into, I put together a few slides to illustrate some of that.
Perfect.
Sorry, I'm old, in case the 35 years of SAP didn't make it obvious. So glasses are necessary sometimes.
Well, welcome to the club, Frederick, so no worry.
So, yes. So today, I wanted to when you asked me, would I want to come back and what have we been doing for the last 3 years? I thought about a lot of the stories of what we've been doing, and we've been doing a ton. A lot of it with migration, a lot of it with Rise, a lot of it with surrounding. Obviously, a lot of it with AI these days. And I sort of a couple things that we did, it's the do you know what I did last summer or this summer actually? And in our case, it's been a lot of decommissioning and migration. So I've got a slide that I tend to show a lot, and it evolves. And it's funny because that slide is perpetually behind. It's impossible to keep up to date because the speed at which we're doing things has just been increasing so tremendously. So your audience being SAP savvy, they all understand, they all speak Japanese. But the rough view is everything in orange is already in HANA. Everything in blue is still in NetWeaver, traditional NetWeaver and SQL for us. The one in purple is also on HANA, but it's in a different cloud. It's in Azure Government. It's our sovereign cloud. But that's a little bit view of our ecosystem. And the way I like to look at it these days is more like this. Which is, as I mentioned, we're in fully optimization mode, simplification mode for a long, long time. And we have views of what are we moving to HANA? What are we retiring because it's either end of life from SAP, because we've moved to new tech in some cases, and what is already part of our future landscape, even though there's further optimization that will be on the way. So that gives you a rough idea. And just to illustrate the point that we were making, I just want to talk about the ERP. So there's 3 ERPs really on that slide. You've got 2 on the left side, which are our original ERP at the top, and a BRIM right below our MCA, which is also an ECC 6.0. And then you got S4, which is our Microsoft Federal Instance on the right. And that's the most recent one. That went live in 2021, so it's just it's going to be 5 years in February next year, and that was a fun project because that was done in the middle of COVID, that was the very first project I found that we couldn't have a war room, so we became very, very proficient on Teams very quickly. But that was a great project. Talk a little bit about how we've moved to that a little bit later. But that has been running all of our Microsoft Federal. It started as a S4 2020, then 2021. It's currently 2023 FPO3, and will be upgraded to the next version as well. The next 2, one is our RMCA instance, which went live now almost 15 years ago, 14 years ago now, 2011. And that's a very, very large system that actually showed some of the shift of Microsoft, from traditional Microsoft or I sell one license to one company, 10,000 seats, very large model to very high volume, smaller transaction, individual people using Office, but you've got hundreds of millions of them, individual Game Pass, but again, 100 million. So the volume is super high, and that's all of our commerce is now going over there. All of our cash management collection, all of this is in that instance. And then the grandfather to or granddaughter, to every system in Microsoft is our ERP. It's funny. Its name is MSS. It stands for Microsoft SAP because in 1995 the vision was there were only going to be one, which things change. So that is still the pièce de résistance. That is. Like a lot of other companies, like you said, a lot of larger companies which adopted SAP in the R3 days, very large companies, they are in that place. They still have a very, 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 they may have done some S4, but they may have very large systems that are still in the background that they're trying to figure out how are they going to move to the next version. And this is something that we're ongoing. I won't go too much into detail about it today, but that's our next big thing.
Oh, this is actually just that's a very interesting insight. So the SID of the system is MSS.
Yes. The very
Interesting.
top
Cool.
left one is MSS because it stands for Microsoft SAP. It's wonderful because the SID naming and everybody that has been running SAP for a long, long time
Yeah.
probably has some broken naming somewhere into their
Yeah.
SIDs. We're changing them now to make them more significant. They've been multiple trial, and literally our new names are significantly less interesting. There's one letter to say what the role of the system is, dev, QA,
That's
prod,
boring.
sandbox. Exactly. And then there's a number. So they mean nothing, but at least it's a lot easier to manage them than the naming convention.
I
Fun
love
fact.
this small tidbit. That's already worth having you again on the show. But okay.
So yes, what do those systems do? For a quick view, a lot of them is on the finance side, but also commerce. That MSS system at the very top is actually also responsible for the payroll for everybody in the US. Professional services. It does a lot. So that's the most complicated instance we have, and that's something that's going to be moved in phase because there's a lot of things that are moving in different places, but volume-wise and risk-wise, the one right below MPP, the one we just did over the summer, is equally complex and almost as big. We're talking both systems are over 100 terabyte database when fully uncompressed. The MPP one was growing at a speed of about 4 to 5 terabytes a year. I mean, it's a dramatic system, and of course, the Microsoft Federal is almost as complicated as MSS at the scale that it's only working with one main customer, the US government.
Mm-hmm.
And the US government is a complicated customer. So what did we do this summer? And that's funny because that slide, literally in the space of 2 weeks, had the following changes that we did between 8.7 and 8.17. In the space of 10 days, we retired a lot of systems, including a full migration of all of our bill of material and other from our old master data system to our new master data system, which doesn't sound as complicated, except when you see that it's also populating Ariba, it's going downstream into a lot of our reporting, a lot of our planning, a lot of our engineering systems, so that's complicated. We moved our entire federal environment into RISE, and that's, again, complicated because it's an Azure government. It's a sovereign cloud. It has a ton of additional requirements because you have so many other checkbox you need to do in terms of security, in terms of compliance, in terms of, everything sovereign is always an interesting discussion. And we moved our ERP system to S4. It's fully live. We already did the close of the books in late August. Went flawlessly. It's been a lot of amazing move when you consider how much was changed and how much was done in such a short period of time. The quality of the move was kind of mind blowing. And we're not stopping there. Of course, we keep on moving. RISE is a big topic for us. One of the next environment, for example, that is currently moving to RISE is our GTS environment, which is used for a lot of our global custom management. And I'm not going to go into any story of Paris, but customs is an interesting topic these days. That one is moving in one step. Is moving straight from a GTS NetWeaver to a GTS E4H in RISE, and that's ongoing. So maybe another story about a lot of the things that we did that one. Okay. About a little bit a quick view of things we do on RISE, and that's that system that we moved. So this is a lot of discussion about what is RISE, and this is not an SAP point of view. This is an internal Microsoft IT and specifically IT perspective. This is not even the official, let's say, threads view of RISE. In simplest form, it's an approach to an S4 as a subscription model, almost like a SaaS. It's not a SaaS, but almost like a SaaS. And in our view, to make it work, you need three things. You need a clean deployment, or migration to S4. You need to leverage one of the hyperscaler. You need to leverage Azure. Let's be honest, and you get managed services that are offered by SAP that will take care of everything from your infrastructure to your base system patching to a lot of those things. It's a generic offering. Many additional features and services for both Microsoft and SAP can be enabled and interoperated with it. And if you think of it for our ECC system, this is where we had a lot of discussion about, are we moving straight from ECC to S4 in RISE? Or are we first going to move to S4 and then move into RISE? And it's funny because I think there was an article not too long ago, and I don't remember if it was Thomas Arosig or Jan Gilg, that was talking about the one step or two step and the fact that it depends on the complexity of the environment. And my view of this is, when you have those kind of move, the problem is rarely what's moving, it's what's staying. Mm-hmm. And how complicated it is to keep or change or evolve all of that connection to all of that surrounding. And that actually is where you make or break your project. So for systems like, if I take the example of our GTS, yes, it has a lot of integration. The vast majority of them are asynchronous. It's creating customs documents and like that. It's part of an invoicing batch system. So it's okay. There's a few which are real time, but the biggest part that was real time was trade screening. And that to us has been completely moved to BIS, where we should talk about that another time, because we've optimized it so much, the volume and the speed at which we get our trade screening done through BIS. By the way, we put some AI on top, so maybe that's a story for another time, which for your audience. But in our case, when it comes to S4, especially for our large ECC, which are all very, as you've seen, pretty old and very, very complex in integration with what we have, we take the first model mostly for a risk standpoint. We want to mitigate that risk, so we do our move, and plus we get some additional agility because of some of the things we do with Azure, which I'll show you in a minute. So we do our move to S4 and our cleanup within Azure, and then as we build this, we always build it with RISE in mind, and then we shift to RISE those environments.
Yeah. So that you can really see what are the dependencies, what are things that might break, and still have it in your environment, basically, without doing two changes at once, basically.
Yeah, the larger quantity of change, the harder it is to see what is breaking what.
Yeah, true. One question, Frederick. So what I see in the RISE on the end, definitely it's an S4. Any plans on thinking of having going RISE with SQL? I mean, or it's just really directly would be an S4? SQL is always.
Yeah, we had some look at that, and it's it's not a bad idea in general. In practice for us, it was like, is it really achieving the progress that we want to make? We know that SAP has already published their dates of when S4 when SQL is going out of support, and we know it's going to take a while for us to to do that migration. Like I say, our largest system, we currently have a roadmap which is 5 years, which I'll be transparent. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in any project that's an SAP project that lasts that long. To me, we're gonna have to find ways to accelerate that. So I hope to be in S4 in 3 years, but we'll see by then. The amount of work for me to move my ECC in RISE and then try to redo the work, the squeeze wasn't the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, as we say here. It's just it was going to be a significant amount of work, and then I would still be running on the same platform.
Yeah,
so
and
totally
still
makes sense.
To S4.
Yeah, it totally makes sense if you're in an environment which is simpler, or you're not going to be able to make like the 2030 dates, and you're going to need those couple of extra years. Then yes, by all means, you should do this. And we still have some environment where we're looking at this possibly, but honestly, our main goal right now is let's try to get everything into S4 or to HANA in general, and then have it in RISE, because we know we've cleaned it, we know we're ready to give it to somebody else to say, do the operation of it.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So just giving you a quick idea. So this is a view of our RISE our S4 landscape in Microsoft Federal. So the top is Azure GovCloud. There's a ton of the thing at the bottom that I'm not showing, which is everything that we run in Azure Commercial for Microsoft in general. And even in our GovCloud, we're running SAP and other things. I mean, it's very, very rare to find any company that runs SAP and doesn't run something else next to SAP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not even. I don't care if it's a Microsoft product or if it's any other micro product in the ecosystem. You're going to find a Salesforce. You're going to find a ServiceNow. You're going to find something that's connected to your SAP system for some of your flow. So in our case, if you look at Microsoft Federal, we have obviously a big SAP system. There's a word Dacian over there because SAP, to work in the government, you need to be able to do accounting for the government. So there's a industry solution, which is resold by SAP, called Dacian, which we implemented as part of our 2021 project, which does a lot of the operation for that. But that makes that SAP system more complex. We all know that managing an SAP system and managing an SAP system with an industry solution is a different ballgame a lot of times. And we have a lot of other things. We have a Dynamics in Federal, which does everything from our CRM, our commercial management, contract quoting. All of that is done in Dynamics with a very tight integration for the sales processing, a synchronization of master data between the two systems. We have some custom development. You see that thing called Compass 2 that's used for our professional services. We have a reporting environment because a lot of the data is actually what's called CUI, which is controlled and classified information, but I can't just filter it for everybody to see. It has to remain only within that compliant environment. So we had to put a data lake, a full reporting system in there. So it has its dedicated data lake, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a microcosm of pretty much every ecosystem you'll find that does SAP.
Mm.
And in theory, moving to RISE with the beauty of PowerPoint is as simple as pushing a button, and boom, you're in RISE. You've got your SAP now working into the SAP tenant in the same cloud. So in our case, in Azure GovCloud, running exactly the same piece of software, and you just have those pesky little interfaces to redo around. And that came with a significant amount of work. I mean, there were 61 interfaces that had to be tackled, but everything from managing the compliance, redoing the security, the performance, the SLA, all of those things. That was a lot of work. And like I said, that's probably going to be a part 2 of the story we have today. I'm gonna leave it as a teaser of how we move to RISE and everything we can give and offer. Everything we do, as you mentioned, Holger, is with the customer in mind. So SAP is an awesome partner to us, but we insist. Many times we have a challenge and say, well, we can build this for you, and we say, don't. We don't want something which is just for Microsoft. That doesn't work. Everything we have needs to be available to everybody else. We want to be that showcase, and we want to be able to, even the thing we built internally, we publish on GitHub, we want them to be available to others. So I'll leave RISE here for now as a tease of everything that went through it and how to do it, and we'll do another episode. I'll bring some other friend that work on this as well.
Sounds good.
So let's talk about BRIM. Or RMCA or FICA, or if you were using it between the early 2017 and the early 2018, it was called IBRIS for a very, very short moment. And let's talk about moving to S4. So as I mentioned, we have 3 ECC systems, 3 ERP systems, I should say. And we saw three different approaches when moving. Our very first system was built. Our very first S4 system was a MDG system, which is more than MDG, it's the full S4. But if you think of ERP, our very first large ERP was for the federal government. That was a Microsoft federal project. We took a large amount of processes we were running in Corp, and we rebuilt a greenfield implementation following those processes. So it was kind of a carve out and fit to standard. It's very similar to what SAP did with what they call their Concur instance in 2017. So we did that in 2020 for federal. Very good project. We did the overall project was just about a year. The SAP part of the project was done in just over 6 months. And again with all of us around. And then we have our next two projects. One is our RMCA, Revenue Management Contract Accounting, moving to BRIM, so Billing and Revenue Innovation Management, basically same module, new version, new features. That's a very large system, which had a lot of requirement of we cannot break the business, we cannot actually stop the business. And we were doing a lot of renovation. One of them is we were changing the finance code block, which, that's a pretty big heart surgery. I'm going to talk about that one mostly next. And then we have our ongoing, just really kicked off in the last few months as we were finishing the first one. We didn't even wait to finish the first one to kick that one off, which is our large 1995 system moving to S4 in a multi-phase greenfield. No big bang. We're going to have to do some parallel run. Lots of complexity in that one, and that deserves its own story as well. But that's a story which can't be told yet because it's being written as I speak. So ever since we got into Azure, we have fully moved to the iterative prototyping model. We create systems and we just clone them. We just try stuff. And that's a lot of the model that we do. When we moved to federal, we had a demo box and a project box. We would do a demo, move things to the project that the people liked, refresh the demo box, do it again and again and again and again. When we moved to S4 with BRIM, we did the same thing. We had a number of environments that we used to clone and refresh, and we did the migration multiple times. In fact, we migrated our BRIM system 6 times in 5.5 months because we could. And
learning.
Exactly. On the first try, there was 242 major issues that were found. On the 6th iteration, we had 2, and they were both minor. So we're like, okay, we're good. Those. If we had done that as a production run, we would have been fine. So that's the 6 mock run before the showtime, and we go. And the other advantage is we have full-on system to share with our business team every time, because it's not just a little bit of thing that we're doing at a time. We're doing a full-on system, and we can show this is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to perform. We can try everything, not just a little piece, and then as you move the next one, the first one broke, and that's a challenge. So it's like, no, you've got a full-on ecosystem every single time.
And you really have the business team being able to immediately validate, see what's happening, providing feedback, which then can be used by the project team to change. And then with the next iteration, the business team immediately sees the updates. I think this is a really powerful approach.
Yeah. If I'll give you 3 quick numbers just on that one, which is, like I say, is not our most complex ERP. It's our second largest, second most complex. That involved 52 business teams, 120 major business processes, and those business teams had to perform 677 UAT scenario across their scenario. So they've done that repeatedly. There's a lot of other things we built around that, and that's a part that was human driven. I mean, we did 17,000 test automated script that we run between all those every time. So I mean, the testing itself is a great story, and I think we're going to publish a lot of the stuff we used or built to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why is that system so complicated and so important to Microsoft? So our BRIM system contains every bit of our high volume online commerce. Like I say, small and medium businesses, consumer, advertising, retail, all of that at the very top is going straight into that BRIM system. One of the other things we were doing, and which is why we kicked off the migration to S4 for that system, we really didn't start in earnest until March of this year, is we were completing another project which was taking every bit of every sales motion that Microsoft does. Our traditional volume licensing, online product, professional service, every single one of them, and aggregated them under one roof into that system. For a simple reason. We're doing a lot of different things. Are you talking to GitHub? Are you talking to Bing? Are you talking to Azure? Are you a customer? You don't care. As far as you're concerned, you're a customer of Microsoft.
Yes.
But internally, you may be a customers of 10, 15, 20 different brands.
Mm-hmm.
And each of them may have their own cycle. We have a lot of independence between all of those things. And to a customer, that shouldn't be something that you see. It shouldn't create any problem. So we did a large project called Mix, Microsoft Integration Collection System, which basically brought all of our invoicing, all of our cash and collection and others under one roof. So as a customer, if you show up and you call, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. That person sees every other thing. In fact, we build a ton of AI over there. Nowadays, if you send an email and ask a statement of account, you get a complete overview of everything you have, and it's largely returned automatically by AI. But again, maybe another story for another day.
We have a lot of follow-ups, Fred.
It's been 3 years. We did a few things. So how did we move? And there was a few different options. We even for a while we toyed with the idea of doing a brownfield, and discarded it simply because of the timing. And at that time, we had done a few S4 systems. Our first S4 that we built was in 2019. When last 2019, it's used for master data management. It's used for business integrity screening. It's used for actually credit management, FSCM. So it's a full-on S4, but it's primarily driving all of the master data and master process from the customer. 2 years later, we did our Microsoft Federal, which was our first ERP deployment of an S4 HANA system. And in 2024, we started the journey to really bring our first core ERP to S4, like I said. But due to its size, very low downtime requirement, we had to find another solution. That's where we went to a partner, SNP, which a lot of other consulting partners use as well. So they're very well known in the business. They're the inventor of the Bluefield, and they solved one major aspect of the project, which is how can we actually move such a large system in a much smaller time frame. Just so you know, brownfield, we did a trial. That's why there's this little gap. We did some trial of other things. The brownfield would have taken us over a week, and out of that we would have like at least 5 days downtime total.
Yeah.
So.
No way.
Not an option.
Yeah.
It's like, please come back another day. Microsoft is closed today. That would not necessarily have been a good story to tell. And so we did with them, and like I said, we did that iterative approach. We did 6 mock runs with that reduced timeline. We started our mock run in March, and we did all 6 of them between March and end of July. Our actual Go started August 5th and completed live in August 17th. a drill landscape, so we had to keep things in sync. I'll show you a little bit on that. And we had a significant tech reduction. We had to correct 1.6 million lines of custom code for 1,500 objects, including custom field, and we moved to the CFL. We did a lot of clean core standard adaptation. We wanted a system that wasn't just the same system that we had 2011. We wanted a system that was ready to do more. We also, like I said, introduced our expanded finance code block. We have been running classic GL since basically the first go live in 1995. And new GL was introduced in 2016. We never got a chance to move to new GL because of the complexity. So our move was a chance for us to, what would we change in what we do with SAP? I know we run it from a finance standpoint. But the biggest thing around there is the timeline. And so the goal is we have to do the cutover schedule with a go live over the weekend. And we have to minimize business impact. In fact, no transaction was really stopped. Transactions were still available. All of the surround system were in some cases catching transaction and loading them and keeping them while the system was working. But we had to do all of the work of moving that system to that new version in the weekend. And the timing was short because, we had till close of business on Friday, Pacific time, until open of business on the other side of the globe, New Zealand. So now you basically lose a day just to time difference.
Yeah.
But that's still, a nice chunky 40 some hours to do the work. But what work? Well, first of all, we have to lock users, and then we have to do a lot of system prep. So right there, we lose 3 hours prepping the system, bringing down, getting all the users, finishing all the batch jobs, flushing everything, because the system's going to have to go down for its replication. So that's a start. This is when we can actually start replicating. Okay, we still have a lot of hours left. Well, not that much, because when the system's going to come back up, we're going to have some data to catch up, because we have all of that surround, which is now queuing a lot of the data, all of those transaction invoices, all of that now has to be absorbed. So that's a lot of catch up to run. And before we can catch up, we need to have repointed all those interfaces. We need to have made sure they're realigned. If our data model changes, and remember, we change our code block, that needs to be adapted as well in that small period of time. So that's a lot of changes in that short period of time. And before that, we have to transition the system from being basically a parallel system to be the actual production system. Mm-hmm. And if it has become the production system, that means we've reached our go, no-go decision. And if we've reached our go, no-go decision, that means we've validated our system. And so we've done extensive data validation. And remember, we're moving over 100 terabytes, 140 billion records were moved into that new system. Lots and lots and lots and lots of data validation. So now the actual time for the migration has squeezed down to roughly 20 hours. Oh. And that's not a lot of time when you got that much volume. In fact, the 20 hours number is not even correct, because as part of the migration, one of the things you need to do is you also need to rehydrate new tables that don't exist in previous system. So everybody knows that finance, for example, has changed majorly when you move to S4. There's a new table called ACDOCA, which has all of your actual for accounting. Yep. Doesn't exist before. You cannot migrate data into ACDOCA. You actually have to have those postings recreated by the system. And SAP provides a process to do that. With the volume of data that we brought, that process took almost 4 hours. So you have to bring all of the data, and then at one point you start doing all of that ACDOCA together, and then you're still moving other tables. So it's a real dance and organization. Just to give you a little view of how things were being done, on the 5th, we started to move some of our largest tables, and you can see over there, we moved over about 35 billion record just on the 5th. And that means we had almost 100 billion record left that we had to move with everything else and the full extract table and everything else during that downtime. So that was something that required significant work and optimization.
Mhm. No,
Um,
I love these insights, and I actually also love this chart that you had on the previous slide, because on first sight it looks like, well, you have enough hours. This is all good. You shouldn't complain. Why are you complaining? But then if you really drill down and look at the actual time that you have to do the data migration, it's really impressive, and it makes it clear what amazing effort went into this and making this happen.
I'll tell you a funny story. The first mock run, yes, we had about 242 problems that were found. Um, it also took over 72 hours to do the migration. You're like, okay, that's not
A little
working
too long.
either. Yeah. So we had a lot of things that we optimized. Again, taking advantage of Azure, we picked up a bigger SKU. Learning from what we've seen, we completely re-optimized a lot of the process that happens on HANA. So, if you do, HANA is a great database if you're doing it for day-to-day operation. It's really bad for large migration because the system has to compress data, move it to columnar model. So there is that view that you get row table and column table, and the system has to do what's called the merge dog process for the delta merge. That has to be set up and tuned very, very specifically for large data migration, and then changed again when you go into regular operation. We played around with that a lot. SAP, to their credit, we worked closely with them. We had a number of sessions with Max Attention. They offered a ton of help looking at our result all along the way. They helped us on the clean core. We did session with them on some of the performance analysis and others. So we really were in sync throughout. And in fact, when we did our migration weekend, SAP were there. The entire migration weekend, we had Max Attention available to us, and they were very, very supportive for the move. So I want to give again SAP their props for the great work they did in partnering on this.
Perfect.
This is just about data. Data is only part of the story because, like I said, there's a lot of custom code. We're engineers, so we write a lot of ABAP, we create a lot of ztable, we did a lot of things. And modifying all of this, 1.5 million lines to review and change, and it crosses all the different domains in such a short amount of time. That's that stuff. So we do what we do all the time these days. We leaned into our AI. And so what did we do with AI? So just a quick reminder, I don't know if I ever talked about our DevOps model, but basically everything, we use a correction transport system, but everybody in Microsoft, including SAP developer, use DevOps, ADO. You create your transports in ADO, you release them through ADO, you do everything centrally, and then it pilots all the underneath system. When you do a development that needs SAP and Dynamics and maybe some other custom code, everything is in one place with ADO. And then you don't have to worry about, I need to go to all those different transport tools. Everything is synchronized. Everything is moved as one. And it's great for us when we do debugging afterwards, because you know exactly what has changed across the landscape, not individual silo of operation. You have that overall view. So on top of our ADO, we've got a lot of integration where people or our developer have access, with Visual Studio Code for some part of the code, or with Eclipse for some others, to actually use some of our AI to do a lot of work. And for our ABAPer, we actually tuned our AI to know more about ABAP, and especially how to move from ECC to S4. It's funny because there's a lot of people that ask me when I talk about that, they say, well, what do you think of Joule? Why don't you use Joule? Things like that. And nothing against Joule. I think it's a great product. I think I love it. I've got two issues. I can't use Joule until I'm on S4. And so it doesn't help me to move from ECC to S4. Now that I'm on S4, I can look at it. And even then, to move to RISE, I can't use Joule until I'm in RISE. So for both of those things, it's like, okay, it's great. I wish I could use it right now. I'm going to have to wait until I've finished those major projects, and now I'm going to be able to adopt it. So we lean heavily into our own AI to do a lot of the work, and a lot of those things we brought over. So we have the SAP, what we call the Dev Copilot, which is now fully rolled in. That was the internal name. It's fully integrated into GitHub Copilot. Like I say, that went to GA last week. So anybody that uses the GitHub Copilot in Eclipse gets all of the work that we built. And cool. I want to give their props to the IDC team in Hyderabad that did a lot of the extra training, and the Microsoft China team that did all the connectors in Eclipse. All of that is available to anybody that uses GitHub Copilot today.
This is why I love Microsoft IT. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Really, yeah, because everybody can benefit to do the similar stuff or same stuff as you.
Yeah,
did. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, it's not. Let's face it, it's already done. So at that point, the altruistic part is easy. We had to do it for ourselves. We have 12 large SAP systems that we're moving to S4. In total, we have 13 million lines just of custom code. We know that there's over 12,000 issues that have been identified throughout, some of them at different levels. So it's a lot of manual effort if you're trying to reconcile all of those things. In the case of the RMCA S/4HANA, almost half of the custom code was fixed automatically by the AI. And, like, oh, it's only half. It's like, yeah, wow. When you consider that it's fixed, also including things that were outside of SAP, as part of our integration, because the Copilot is global, that is a tremendous progress for us, a tremendous advantage. And we keep training it more. And that was trained just on the migration side. It's also, there for developers that are trying to learn how to code in S4, and they know how to code in the old ABAP way in ECC, and they can say system, hey, teach me how to do this, teach me how to do that. And we keep making it better. The version, which is not the one that has been released last week, but it will be probably in the next few months, which we currently train for our GTS, where we're at over 70%. In the current GTS migration project to RISE, with the system helping us do all those transformations to fit within the RISE model. So that's significant time and cost saving, obviously.
Nice.
And so we see that area in many, many different ways. So this is just a slight overview, the intelligent code review, code compliance, with VirtualForge and fixed recommendation. We do that also when in some cases a code run is just not considered compliant for security. So auto fix, when VirtualForge finds something for us, it also Copilot tells us, hey, this is the kind of fix we want. We have a very, very, very big focus on security these days. Automatic code fixes for S/4HANA as we move from ECC to S4. So having the system understand that there's different types of ABAP, depending on where you're working, what is your target, and being able to help do those things. We use it in functional scenario. Explain code is one of my favorite. Like I say, our oldest system is from 1995. Not many developers from those days are still here.
Yes.
There's quite a few of them have retired.
You mentioned, Frederic, kind of 50% of custom code compatible issues were fixed. That's a lot. That's a lot, than when you try to hunt it down by yourself manually, so to say, right?
Yeah, and there is it's one of the things that's interesting. You've got a lot of things that are being surfaced by the standard tool, like the ATC. The ABAP Test Cockpit will tell you, oh, those things don't work in S4. But even the things that do work in S4 are not necessarily right for S4. And it's not just because it compiles or it runs that it is the right way of doing it. So that was a lot of learning, a lot of training to make sure that we're going one place further. Our Mix project, for instance, fully surrounded by Dynamics. We do a lot of AI in there with a lot of OData connection. That's something that system doesn't know. It's like the code seems to be fine. It's like, well, but the code could work better because X, Y, and Z. So that was a big one. And and our goal is always, you don't want to disrupt people's flow. You want to meet the people where they are and try to improve the process that they do. So when we initially built our ABAP Copilot, I think it's almost 3 years ago now, 2 to 3 years, at least 2 years, if not 3. I demoed it at the original version at Ignite. We were right in ECC, right in the IDE transaction of the SAP GUI, SC38, SC37, all of those you could have access. But nowadays you need more than that. You need the ADT, the ABAP development tool. Yeah. So the full GitHub chat experience is in Eclipse. And so we did some custom extension. We have a controller that's all the Dev Copilot, and it just goes to our GPT-4 model, Azure OpenAI, with the extensibility of add your own data. So we've overtrained it on the ABAP to make it even more ABAP savvy, and especially ABAP performant for the migration. And that's really one of the biggest things in terms of AI that saved us a lot of time. Like I said, we ended up doing that entire project after we finished that mix project. We started in March. We went live mid-August.
Impressive.
So I was going to bring some numbers. I was actually going to put some things together. And as I was collecting numbers, I just want to give you a few numbers about that project, just to show what we did, and personally how impressed I got with the team that delivered this. So the timing, we started about a year ago to look at the blue field. We did something last year, but that was a skeleton crew of 5 people. The team really joined in early March, and 5.5 months. We did 6 tests run before doing our full go live in August. During those 6 tests run, we had to identify every business that was actually working with that BRIM system. Like I said, 52 business throughout Microsoft. Everybody from the different service line that are selling different products, the Bing, the GitHub, all the way to the different teams in finance, people that do close, the treasury people, the collection people, all of those had to be aligned, be aware of when they would have to be muted, what are their processes, and then we identified the business process. It's easy to forget because it's so complicated, the business processes that we run. I mentioned that 120 business process, 670 user acceptance tests on those processes that had to be done by those teams. But beyond that, through ADO, and we had a full test harness that was built in that period of time to run all those automated tests, we had over 17,000 automated tests that were run. And remember, some of those tests are matrix, because if you're Microsoft, you have a lot of different company codes because you work all around the world. Mm-hmm. And it's not because the tests work in one company code that it works in the next one. Currency changes, setting up changes. We have over 1,400 company code in SAP. So, you're doing things. Fun fact, one of the things we were doing at the same time, we were changing currencies. We had some currencies that were badly set up all the way 15 years ago. So there's a lot of ISO currencies that were not set up correctly. They had 2 decimals. We had to add a decimal. Okay, fine. We had a few that was the opposite. One of the most troublesome currency nowadays is IDR, or Indonesia rupiah. Okay. And one of the reasons is super high inflation in Indonesia.
Oh, okay.
So $1 is equivalent to 13,624 rupiah. Give or take, I haven't checked the value today. So that's a small problem because there's supposed to be 2 decimal in the value. And if you think about it, that means that the largest number you can write, because of the size of the field in ECC, is 99 billion rupiah, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but it's about $6 million.
Ooh.
And that's easy to go above,
Yeah.
in a lot of cases. So Rupiah doesn't have decimals anymore for all intents and purposes. It's like, okay, fine, you have to remove that. You can't just remove it. Finance has to approve it, and you have to prove that everything is rounded correctly. So as we move from the old system to the new system, we had to round all the transaction, including the one that were already completed, and validate that all of the rounding worked. I'll tell you, the beauty of it is it was it was billions of rupiah in terms of all the transaction we moved. And in the end, we had a rounding error over those billion of 1 rupiah.
Oh, really?
Which is $0.00006.
That's okay.
Or 0.06 of a cent.
Nice.
Which it's below the rounding that gas stations do. So that's something that we had to build again with SNP as part of the migration, and we had to validate. But that was awesome when we had the whole thing and run it and go and find the numbers like 1 rupiah. That's how much difference out of billion. So pretty good.
Oh, impressive, yeah.
The data validation. So some of it was at different levels. Some of it we were basically running some of the tools from SNP. One of them was making sure we had the same numbers of rows in table in one side that we had on the other side. When we first run it, the first mock run, the one that took 3 days, that's 72 hours, took an hour and a half. And we're like, okay, what is that system doing? And it's trying to do large select on tables that have billions of rows. And so we went back and like, okay, how can we optimize it? And so we optimized it on SQL. We optimized it on HANA. And in the final production run, that took just under 2 minutes out of 90 minutes. So you remember that slide with all the, hey, this is how much time you have to do the work.
Yes.
Validation, whoosh, got squished. So we actually didn't just optimize the data transfer. We optimized every single step onto the run that we were doing that day.
Because you need to do them anyway as a part of the validation in migration, right? So
yeah. We had a team, and kudos to them that built a detailed validation compare system, because there are some fields, there are some places where just do math. Okay, let me see that the total is the same number of lines, same balances, I'm good. And there's some places where you cannot do that. You have to check that the fields have the same value from one system to the other. And you do it with every mock run we run this. I'll leave you with that one because this is my favorite number. We ran 18 trillion field validation in total as we were doing this, which is a ridiculously silly number. Just to give an idea of the scale of that, 18 trillion seconds is 500,000 years. That's a number. If you're in the US and you're non-metric system, 18 trillion inches is 284 million miles. That's about 1,200 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. It's more miles than from the Earth to Mars.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy, the data validation. So I don't know if we'll publish that tool. I hope we will. Still looking. I think it has super good value for people that are doing some of that migration. But again, 5.5 months, and yes, that's our Brim conversion for
congratulations. I mean, this is really, really impressive, and I like this last part because I mean, after a certain number, you lose the feeling. I mean, 18 trillion, I think nobody has an idea how big this number really is, but putting this into a perspective, like 500,000 years, I mean, even 500,000 years is something that you can hardly imagine. But then looking at the distance to Mars, maybe that's something you slowly start to realize, well, this is actually really big. So it's amazing what you've done there. So
Thank you.
Fred, I mean, I don't want to steal much more of your time, but thank you so much for this overview. And I think we already identified a few things where it would be great to have you and your team for a deep dive, for a follow-up. But again, as I mentioned in the intro, for me, it's so valuable to have these discussions with you, to learn from you, and also that you tell about our experience, so our Microsoft experience in running SAP, and share lessons learned, share best practices, share potential tools that you used or that you enhanced as part of our journey here, and that then customers can also benefit from this. So yeah, thank you so much. It was fantastic to have you. And I really hope that it will not take 3 years before we see you again in our podcast, and then we can really have a few deep dives as well.
Absolutely, I'll be happy to. Like I say, I'm lucky. I'm very lucky to be working with a lot of very, very, very talented folks. So I wish I could run the credit and just give the names of everybody from the people that build our Compare tool to all the people that have worked on the ABAP Copilot and its integration and its training for migration. Yeah. Lots of people all around the world, from our India team, our Dublin team, of course our team here in Redmond. So yeah, very, very happy. And I think the next big story, which also happened this summer, would be the RISE, and I think that there's a lot of people that would be interested in that. So yes, absolutely. Hope to see you both soon.
Sounds good.
To talk about that one.
Sounds good. We'll do that. Great. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.